Welcome back to the Foul Line. I'm your host as usual, Connor Black. With me as always, Wyatt Olson.
What's up?
And back here with us, Wyatt Hole.
Howdy.
And let's just get right into it. You know, this draft might have been one of the most, not going to say one of the most stacked draft classes, but definitely one of the most diverse draft classes they've been in a while.
I think it was we obviously had a unicorn in Wembenyama, had some real studs with Scoot and Brandon, but I think this class is deeper than people think. And people is like, oh, there's not really much outside the top three picks, but I think it's deeper than people give it credit for, and there's going to be a lot more quality players that come out of it in the long run.
Yeah, and obviously Victor solidified number one pick. Everybody knew he was going number one, no doubt. Like there was no question about it. Scoot though, everybody thought he was the number two pick for sure, and there was a lot of Hornets fans upset that he didn't go number two.
Right. It's kind of funny seeing a live stream and they're having a viewing party for that and doesn't get who they wanted. Michael Jordan's last pick.
I mean, Brandon Miller though makes the most sense for the Hornets because why would you bring in another point guard when you already have LaMelo, who is a like Magic Johnson build point guard, 6'8", can pass real well, can shoot. He shoots. I think he probably shoots better than Magic did back then because the game's more 3-point shot now.
Yeah.
But Brandon Miller fits better because he's probably going to play the. I don't think he's. I don't know if he's going to. He's not going to. Gordon Hayward's going to start for sure at the three.
You think so?
I don't think they're moving Gordon Hayward to the bench yet. I think you probably put Melo at one. You probably can switch out Gordon and Brandon 2 and 3. And then Miles, obviously, he's going to be out the first 10 games of the season. So he's obviously not going to be there the first start. But I doubt he starts back immediately. Because, he was obviously out and missed so many games and workouts and so on. And then, yeah, so I think he's probably going to start, but he's not. I don't think he knocks out Gordon Hayward yet.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I don't think Gordon Hayward goes to the bench yet. I think, after he obviously broke his leg, he wasn't the same. But I think he's starting to get closer every year, which is the opposite of what people are supposed to do when they get older. Is he's actually getting closer to what he was back then, and he was really good back then.
Yeah, I mean, he was top 8 MVP voting the year before he got hurt his last year on the Jazz, and he every year he plays with a pure point guard like LaMelo that gets him better looks and the rim running and everything like that. He looks better, and I think Brandon Miller, at Alabama was like a lethal shooter. He's really athletic, probably one of the most athletic guys in the draft.
Yeah.
And so,
kind of look at it. He really does comp. Maybe not two-way ability yet, but offensively, skill-wise, with the three-level scoring, he really sets up well to Paul George.
Yeah, I mean, he also said Paul George is his GOAT, which everybody made a big deal about it because they're like, why would you say Paul George is the GOAT? But he wasn't saying that. He was just saying, like, Paul George is his player that he models the game after, stuff like that. And PG, had him on his podcast, and they spoke, and he was like, I'd love to train with you and help you out and, like, just be a veteran to you, even though we're on the same team. He's like, I can't wait to compete against you. So I think he's got a bright future in the league. He did Summer League was a little iffy. I think his first game he had like 9 points and like 7 fouls. So you can have 10 fouls in Summer League, and everybody was kind of worried like did the Hornets make the wrong pick? But I mean, Wemby's first game he had like was it 9?
Yeah, something like that, sub 10 points.
Yeah, and was terrible efficiently. Got backside lob dunked on from Kai Jones. That wasn't his first game.
Yeah, it was the first game.
And he missed some easy bumps and dunks, and everybody's kind of like, is he going to be bad in the NBA? But yeah,
I was just gonna say you have to look at it as at least every time he would go to try and drive in, use his height, 3 people would just swarm him and take the ball from him. Plus, you have to think this kid is 19 years old, and he has the eyes of the entire world on him to go in and be what people say he should be the greatest player ever with how he plays.
Yeah, and like no matter how he plays on offense, nobody's gonna score on him easily. Like he has the ability to be the best defensive player in the league.
No question.
In the post.
Right.
Because he's 7'7", 7'6" with shoes on, I think, or something or 7'4" without shoes, 7'5" with shoes, something like that. But and then you add an extra like his wingspan to that. That's gonna be hard to score over in this league.
I think it's gonna be hard for people to even get a three in.
I mean, yeah, because he blocked I think 2 threes in summer league.
I think he'll be able to jump from maybe middle post all the way out there with how long his arms are
and just be able to contest. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely gonna have a lot of games where he has high block counts and probably pass, like deflections.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be like lead. I think you'd see him being lead leader in deflections and stuff like that.
I mean, it's just gonna be like I said, it doesn't matter how he's doing on offense, he's always gonna be a defensive threat.
Yeah.
But his second game in summer league, he had 27 points and looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, he was knocking down step backs, hitting middies, like getting in the paint to where he's comfortable. He just looked really good. He looked like the number 1 pick. And then Scoot, G League Ignite, really good. I mean, so good that they sat him out the last 3 games of the G League Ignite, or the last 4 or 5 games of the G League Ignite season because they knew he was going to be a top 3 pick. Well, they thought he was going to be top 2. But,
right.
The Blazers, are they trying to replace Dame? Is that why they drafted a point guard like Scoot? Or was that just the best available and they think that they could complement? What do you think? What do y'all think?
It's kind of hard to judge.
Are they planning for the future?
Right. If you're planning for the future, that means you're on the verge of trading Dame to the Heat or if wherever he's maybe going. But like I said, I think Scoot anyway with Dame can learn a lot just from off the dribble offense and shooting from one of the best shooters we've ever seen in Dame. I mean, their future is pretty bright with Scoot, Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, and
and Nurkic coming back.
Yeah.
He's obviously aging, but I mean, he's
like 27, 28.
He's 28. He's under 30, and you wouldn't expect that because of how many. I mean, he hasn't played that many years. He's been injured so many years.
Right. And I mean, now the guy they drafted a few years ago is finally getting consistent minutes with guys like Nasir Little, who's getting actually getting rotation minutes. Good defender. I mean, like they have pieces at least they have an idea of what a future looks like.
They bring in Chris Murray and they bring in Rupert.
Yeah, Ryan Rupert.
So they are setting up for the future very well, but they're not in win now mode, obviously.
No.
And they're not in win now mode anytime soon.
It's kind of hard to say that when Dame is on your roster.
Yeah, but look at the Blazers last year. I think they topped out at the 11th seed.
Something like that, yeah.
And they were in playing contention for like 2 weeks this season.
Yeah.
Dame, obviously one of the best players in the league, but that roster isn't enough to win now, win next year, maybe 3 years. But Dame's 32.
33, something like 32, 33.
So he doesn't have that much time left anyways. He doesn't have time to sit around and wait 3 more seasons.
No.
He's already kind of not injury prone, but he does get little injuries here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're setting up more for the future than right now. But if they were setting up for right now, they would have traded that 3rd pick and they would have built around Dame. But the Thompson twins, they looked really good in summer league, and I think everybody's kind of excited to see how the OTE can expand to the NBA because if they don't work out, the OTE kind of just probably goes down because
it loses credibility for it.
Because they're the first players drafted out of it, obviously, and being the 4th and 5th pick back to back, I mean, they're gonna have a lot to
prove.
A lot to prove because they were high schoolers basically.
Yeah.
And their experience was built off the OTE, and a lot of people say like the overtime elite league just kind of puts players out there to make their NBA prospects look better. Like they're not playing against real NBA talent or college talent, and they're not developed. But I think Amin obviously is the better twin, and he's definitely.
I think he legitimately has DPOY potential.
Yeah, the one thing they're both going to develop is some type of jump shot.
Yeah, they're so raw in that.
But
if they can both develop it,
if they can develop just a steady jumper, like a 35%, 38% 3-point shot, they could be. I mean, they're going to be really good no matter what. I think. But the better they look, the better OTE looks, and the more GMs and scouts are going to look to that to pull NBA players from. I mean,
What do you think about the Thompson twins?
yeah. I mean, do you think they're going to pan out? Do you think they're going to be bust, or just kind of just in the middle?
I'm gonna go off of what I saw and read about them in summer league. I mean, obviously, for a summer league game, I'm in. He was playing really great, and then he hurt his
Yeah.
ankle at the end of it. So we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to wait to see how he recovers from that. I don't remember how bad it
It
was.
wasn't. They just kept him out for the rest of summer league just to not re-injure it. He'll be fine by the beginning of the season.
It's like a minor sprained ankle, pretty much. But he looked great. Uh, Asar, I heard that he looked great, and for the Pistons, they need someone like that.
Yeah, they definitely do. The Pistons are nowhere near win now mode. They are so far behind right now, but I think he can definitely help develop their future because, like we said, if he can get a good jumper, like I said, a steady jumper, he can definitely make some noise. And like Wyatt said, they're amazing defenders. Like they are athletic freaks when it comes to the defensive end. They're always putting their best foot forward when it comes to defense. Like that is their main focus, I believe. But Anthony Black, you know, he's also a guy that needs to add a jump shot to his game.
I think Nick Smith or Anthony Black, sorry, is one of the most interesting players in this draft class because he's 6'7", really athletic, good decision maker, long armed, has all the tools to be good defensively too. Played in a really good conference at Arkansas in the SEC. If he can figure out his jump shot too, I think he can be lethal. I think if he had a jump shot right now, he would almost be the best point guard on the Orlando Magic already over guys like Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz. Just because everything else about him is just I think at that level already. But until he gets a jump shot, I think he'll be held back a little bit. But he's got all the tools to be a really good player for a long time.
I mean, then you go a little bit down farther in the draft, like like by the top 10, like Victor's teammate,
Bilal.
yeah, Bilal, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bilal. Everybody was really surprised he went that early because not a lot of people kind of knew who he was because Victor overshadowed him a little bit. But I think the Wizards actually made a great pick there, taking him. Because I really didn't know who he was. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not like saying I was saying Wizards should pick him, but I went and watched a couple highlights and a couple games from Victor's team, and he looks really good. Like he was a great pickup for what the Wizards are trying to build for the future. And then, you know, the Thunder Mavs swap. At first, I was a little disappointed because Derek Lively looked really good coming into the league. Like for a summer league, I thought he'd be a really good center for us because we needed a more big body center to just help push around these bigger guys like Clint Capella, Joel Embiid, somebody who's going to be able to push back.
Yeah.
And we made a switch for Kason, which right now it's looking like the best swap because Kason looked really good in summer league, and Derek Lively kind of looked
unsure of himself.
Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna. I think Jason Kidd can definitely develop him though.
Yeah.
Like Jason Kidd is a really great coach, and if anybody can do it, it's him. But I really think the Thunder made the best move right there by getting Kason because his first summer league game he had 23 points. He shot the ball really well.
Yeah.
And
rated as one of the best defenders in the whole draft class.
And I think he's definitely gonna be really good off the bench for us. But we just also have a lot of guards, a lot of point guards. But then Grady Dick was the 13th pick. Raptors. Summer League, nobody really talked about what he did because that Raptors Summer League team wasn't that great. And they also don't play in most of their games are played in Canada, so it really wasn't the main focus like Vegas. But Grady is either going to be
really good
here, or like we said that a lot about players, but like that's how he's going to be. Because at Kansas, he was really good.
He was. I mean, aside from Jalen Wilson, was the guy.
He looked like he was. Everybody say he was a top 8 pick coming into the draft. Like nobody thought he was still going to be on the board at 13. Like the Raptors got lucky with a pick like that. But I just don't know because he is athletic, but he's a 6'8", can shoot the ball really well. But the Raptors, that's all the Raptors have is guys like that. Like Pascal, OG. I mean, I'm not saying they're great shooters, but they're just 6'8" athletic guys who can do just what Grady does, but they're already developed.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if he's going to get like a lot of minutes this year. Obviously, he's going to get minutes, but I don't know if it's going to be what people think. I mean, what do y'all think about Grady?
I mean, go ahead.
I really like Brady. I think he is going to, he already has a name for himself, but I think he's going to prove to people that I'm here to play.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever I can to win us games. I mean, we saw at Kansas in the last year, they got upset by Arkansas, unfortunately. But I think coming into the NBA, everyone's been telling him you're going to the NBA, you're going to be up there above a top 10 pick, and then he fell to 13.
Yeah.
I think he's going to show the teams that didn't pick him
what they missed out on.
Plus, I think that the Raptors, they got rid of Fred VanVleet, or they didn't get rid of him.
They did he was a free agent. He signed a 3-year deal with the Rockets.
Yeah, so there's going to be an opening spot because honestly, like, some people could move up in the lineup and Brady could be placed right in the middle.
Well, also the thing is, Pascal's future is pretty uncertain with the Raptors. I know there was talks of him being moved. The Hawks have to actually send a trade offer out for Clint Capella. So if Pascal ends up ultimately being traded or forcing his way out of Toronto, that's a big opening for Grady because that's basically the same position he'd be playing, the small forward position, and that would open up so many opportunities for him. But I think him being in Toronto is probably one of the best situations to be in because they do have that championship culture.
Yeah.
And he can definitely be developed well. And just, I thought he was going to go to the Magic. I thought the Magic were going to pick him, but, they picked Anthony Black, which I thought they had way too many point guards anyways. But, they picked another one. So I think a lot of people were surprised when Grady wasn't taken then. I thought OKC might take him, but that didn't happen. Because I thought he could help them out a lot because we're pretty thin at the small forward position off the bench.
Yeah.
Because
you think he would have stayed off the bench because of guys like Lou Dort?
Yeah, I do because ultimately he's just not as good as a defender or anything like that. He has to do the things that Lou he's a better shooter than Lou Dort, but after that, there's not a lot of things that he does better than Lou Dort. He's not going to bring that same energy and presence.
Yeah.
But off the bench, though, the Thunder are pretty thin. Isaiah Joe. I mean, obviously he's a great shooter, but I think him and Grady Dick would have complemented each other really well. But I think he's going to be exciting for the Raptors when he gets touches. And, moving down the list, obviously we said Chris Murray went to the Blazers. Spaced out for a second. The Blazers. And then the Lakers had a great pick. I know you probably got a lot to say about that.
I was Jalen Hood-Schifino from Indiana, like 6'6" point guard. He's a good shooter, not a phenomenal athlete. Has a quick first step. I watched probably 3 or 4 of the Lakers Summer League games. He was ball dominant most of the times, brought the ball up most of the time, initiated offense. You can tell he's a quick decision maker because that was his job at Indiana, was to make that first pass and make that first read. I think he can be a really good solid point guard. I don't think he is going to be a star in the league, but I think with his frame, he can be a solid starter for a long time. On the Lakers team right now, as currently constructed, with 16 guys on the roster and training camp coming up, I don't know where his place falls in the rotation. I would say they give him a 2-way contract, but I don't know that they want your first round pick to just drop down to the G League, and
well, it probably wouldn't be the worst thing for him to do that,
right?
Because the G League is really good at developing players.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when it used to be called the D League. It was called the Development League. Like,
yeah,
that was its name. So I don't think it'd be the worst thing for him because you also wouldn't want to give him a contract and then he just sits the bench the whole year.
Right.
So you'd obviously want him getting those reps in the G League over not getting reps in the NBA game.
I think to piggyback off that, I think for not getting reps, it would be different if the Lakers didn't bring back D'Angelo Russell and Gabe Vincent just slides into the starting point guard role. If Schifino was to be the backup point guard for the whole year, that'd be different because there's obviously another roster spot open. D'Lo's gone, not taking touches and reps from him. But I think it just kind of depends on if D'Lo's playing well enough to not be traded, then will have to find a different way to be on the floor. He has a smooth jump shot, so maybe some off the ball opportunities there for him. Um, I think he's going to be a solid starter for his career. I don't think it'll be anything special, but I think the Lakers for where they were drafting for maybe not even having a first round pick with how the last year went, and then with how things ended in the end of the season, getting a solid point guard like that, guy you can develop and learn, and guy that can learn from LeBron and D'Lo and Vincent and guys like that. I think it's a good situation to be in.
And you back up a little bit, Taylor Hendricks to the Jazz. Great pick. Obviously, he's injured right now. We didn't get to see him in Summer League. But the Jazz are kind of in the same situation. They're probably in a better situation than the Blazers are, actually. Because, they got guys like Laurie, John Collins now, and Jordan Clarkson. And, they have guys that are willing to go out there and compete and win games. And
Keontae George
they
now.
bring in Keontae George. He looked really good in Summer League. Like, probably looked really good because for not being a lottery pick in Summer League. And I think hopefully Colin Sexton kind of bounces back next year.
Yeah.
He had a really down year. We went and watched him play against the Thunder, and he didn't get to play, but he was injured a lot of the year.
Yeah.
But he only averaged like 18 points a game this year, and I think everybody expected him and Laurie to just. Obviously, Laurie looked really good, but I think they expected to be like kind of a better duo than what they were.
I think we've kind of come accustomed that Colin will score 20 a game and give everything he's got for that.
I mean, they call him the young bull for a reason. I mean,
right.
he is a bull on the defensive end.
I mean, if anybody's ever watched him when he beat Brooklyn basically by himself, he beat him twice.
Yeah, him and DG.
Yeah, him and Darius Garland stepped up, and young Darius Garland beat Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving twice.
Yeah.
And Colin dropped 41 one of those games.
41.
Yeah, and went crazy. So he knows he's got that fire in him. I think maybe another year off the ACL tear will be a good year for him.
Yeah, and then, kind of late first round pick Nick Smith Jr. Was we got to talk about Cam Whitmore first. Cam Whitmore projected top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Falls to what, 20? I mean, everybody was speculating on what was going on. Like, how does a top 5 pick fall that low? And, like I said, his workouts weren't that great, that his attitude wasn't great towards everything. They said that he's physical. I don't know if this was actually proven to be a fact or not, but I read somewhere that his physical didn't come back right, that he failed his physical. And they had to come back and get another one done, and that's why he fell so low. But I think the Rockets had the steal of the draft with him. I mean, in Summer League, he looked really good. He was actually a Summer League MVP, right?
Yes.
And I don't think there was a better steal than that. I mean, what do y'all think?
I'm gonna be biased. I think Jordan Walsh is a steal of the draft because he fell pretty low, and in college he was a very, very key guy. I'm gonna be honest. While I was watching him play Kansas, I was just like, "Who is this guy? I've never heard of him, never seen him, and he looks like an alien." I'm gonna be honest. But I mean, he went out there and balled. He upset number 1 seed Kansas
and 13th pick Grady Dick. It's just, Jordan Walsh, has that defensive presence that Grant Williams had. He can fill that void that the Celtics are going to miss in that. And I think, it's weird how much him and Jason Tatum shoot alike. Like, they have really similar jumpers, but his just isn't to that consistent point yet. So he looked really good in Summer League. And the Celtics, I think can mentor Jordan Walsh really well. And I think it's going to be a great pickup for them.
Yeah, sure.
I still say still the draft is Cam Whitmore, but obviously for a second round pick, Jordan Walsh was the best option at the time, and I expected him to go, honestly, earlier. I mean, after the Arkansas upset, or the Kansas upset, you could almost imagine that he goes higher than that. But,
go ahead.
No, you're good. I was going to change the subject, so go ahead.
It's a different energy than what the rest of the Celtics play with. I mean, they've got good team defense. Robert probably the best defender on the team. But like I said, you can find that Grant Williams replacement. Has the tools to become good offensively, good size, athleticism, quick feet. So I think he'll be a really good fit for the Celtics down the road.
I think another reason why it's a really good fit is one thing I loved about Grant is he was big. He wasn't. I mean, he was small.
Oh, I mean, he was ripped. Like
he was absolutely ripped. I mean,
he was definitely the strongest guy on the team, like weightlifting wise.
Like he could shoot, and whenever we wanted him to, we'd be like, go down there and play tough, and he would like we've seen him play tough in the post. I mean, and he would get so into it that he, as a bench player, was talking to Jimmy Butler, and he got in Jimmy Butler's face.
Yeah, but it did not affect Jimmy at all.
Grant's lowlights are some of the funniest things ever. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna make both.
Yeah, I'm gonna make both of them. You ain't gonna make one of them.
I watched that live, and I almost threw my phone.
But you go into more second round surprises. Amani Bates, Amari Bailey, Lakers. They pick up
Maxwell Pierce.
Yeah, Maxwell Pierce. Then you add in just so many like the second round. Like obviously there could be guys that we don't name that can do well in the league. I mean, who's us to say that they're not gonna make a move in the NBA? Like Jokic was a 41st pick in the draft and is now a 2-time MVP and champion. So
what's that guy? I think he went undrafted, and the Raptors signed him, and he said, "I'm gonna be the best Raptor."
Oh, Marquise Noel, is just as tall as Allen Iverson, Isaiah Thomas, and has just as much as dog in him as IT did in his prime, and looked really good in summer league. All these guys actually looked really good in summer league that went in the second round. Keontae Johnson looked really good, and it's a guy that we love and can't wait to watch. We might have to go to an OKC Blue game and watch him play because he's going to be more of a two-way guy starting out. But
I love his story more than anything.
Oh yeah.
D1 basketball player
almost dies,
collapses from a heart issue,
was in a coma,
comes back, plays for K-State,
helps get them to the Elite Eight alongside Marquise Noel.
I love those two. I mean, Marquise Noel, 5'8", and he's just out there, getting 20-point games, 20 assists, and he's not like what you see short players doing today. Like he's not just running around shoot a three.
Yeah.
He goes in. He's ripped. He uses those muscles to his advantage. And at 5'8", he can maneuver himself pretty well, which is why I think he gets 20 assists.
Yeah, and like even if he doesn't get the minutes with the Raptors this year, like if he's just a two-way guy playing most of his minutes in the G League, he's eventually going to have a role in this league and eventually going to have his spot and his time in the spotlight. I mean, nobody thought IT was going to be the player that he was.
No.
And he was the last pick in the draft. Marquise went undrafted, but Amani Bates, his situation, he would have been better off just not reclassing. Now there's guys like Cooper Flagg who has went that route, and I think the thing is, Cooper is probably more developed at the time than Amani was.
No question.
And better, and just more hype. But Amani is honestly probably could see minutes with the Cavs this year. There's a good chance that he could, and there's a lot of players who went the G League route and it worked out for them. Scoot, Jalen Green. Would you rather have a guy that went to the G League instead of college, drafted to your team, or would you rather have a guy that spent a year or two in college? I mean, what do y'all think about that?
I think it depends. Part of that depends on the player, because I think somebody like Paolo Banchero, what is going to do good in both. So I mean,
you could also say like Chet, Jabari Smith, just anybody. Top prospect. Yeah.
I think it all comes down to how consistent are they in whatever they're in. Like that's a big part. Like if I'm a scout, I'm looking at consistency. I'm looking at the attitude on the court, and I'm looking at the image he presents himself at. I don't want someone.
Yeah, you don't want someone almost in like a like a John Morant situation, like you
or John Wall early in his career throwing up gang signs.
yeah. And let me see how I can word this. So, like, I'd rather have a guy that's averaging 15 to 18 points in the G League than a guy that's averaging 20 to 25 in college, because in the G League, you're playing against one of the most fast-paced games. You're playing against pros, guys that either used to be pro or are just fighting for that spot in the NBA. In college, you're sometimes just playing against guys who are just there for just to play.
Yeah.
Now, not every single college player is trying to make it to the NBA.
No, like some guys making it to college is their NBA.
Yeah, like that's their peak.
Yeah.
And there's some players who are really good in college, but they
don't pan out.
Not even that they don't pan out. It's that they don't really see themselves going to the NBA.
Yeah, like that's not their goal.
Like a guy I really love, Drew Timme.
Yeah.
He
actually,
college player.
But he did get picked up by the Bucks, right? On a two-way.
I want to say it was the Bucks. I
know
he got picked up on a two-way.
I'm pretty sure it was for the Bucks.
Yeah.
And then
like people like those, like you're playing them when in the G League, you're playing against players who they're fighting every day to keep their job,
because they'll cut you in a second and they ain't gonna bat an eye about it. They ain't worried about your feelings.
It's a cutthroat league.
It's a dog eat dog world.
Yeah, and you could be you could have one chance to make it to the NBA and the G League, and if you miss that chance or you don't, take it,
you never get it again.
You never get it again. Like Denzel Valentine was really good in college, was good in the NBA, like really good shooter, and then has a really down year with the Bulls, gets sent to the G League, and now has bounced around the G League ever since. He's trying to make his way back to the NBA, and he's only like 29.
Yeah.
It's just you just never know these days.
And you got guys like Jahlil Okafor.
Yeah, I mean, in the NBA, you get a contract, it's guaranteed. G League, nothing's guaranteed. You could be on a team today, score 20 points the night before, and get cut the next day because you didn't perform well because your practice standpoint isn't good, or the smallest reason some guy just outperformed you this much, did this much better than you.
Yeah.
And it's just that's it.
And some people will look at it like, well, they're still in the G League, so they're still getting to play pro basketball.
Yeah.
But you need to look at it as this is their job.
Yeah, they don't have another job outside of this.
Like, some of them have kids. This is how they do it. How they feed their kids. How they make a living for themselves, and their job is threatened every single day that they go out there. So they have to nonstop. They get no breaks. 7 days a week, 365. They need to be working, or else it could be taken from them in an instant.
And I'm just super excited to see what this rookie class holds. Like I said at the beginning, it's a really diverse rookie class. Guys from everywhere, nationalities from everywhere.
Yes.
It's just like this could be one of the most exciting draft classes we've had in almost since the Zion draft class. Like that draft class was really exciting because you didn't know what to expect from it.
Yeah.
But speaking of Zion and just other guys coming back this year, there's so many faces the league almost needs to be playing. I mean, Zion being one of them. Like, arguably, not even arguably, he's a top 5 player when healthy. There's no doubt about it. And if you do doubt it, you're just wrong. I mean, who's putting up 30 points a game on 56% shooting? It's unheard of. I mean, I wouldn't say unheard of. That's the wrong way to put it.
It's special.
I mean, you have to be one of the greats to do it.
Yeah.
And whenever he was healthy for the Pelicans this past year, with him doing good, BI doing good,
CJ,
I was willing to bet money that they were going to make it to the finals, and I almost did bet money.
They were the 1 seed. They went on a long winning streak with Zion, and he looked great. And you sent that thing to our group chat where he just looks completely. I mean, he is like
stacked.
It's crazy how much he turned that people saying he was overweight narrative into he's super jacked now. Like, since he came into the NBA, this is the best he's looked.
No question.
Like it's like he went on a big long pull.
Yeah, and if he cuts, he's gonna be back to that high school form.
Yeah.
Just shredded,
Yeah, I'm just
define.
The Pelicans obviously made it to they were the 9 seed and they lost the Thunder in the first play-in game, but you add Zion back to that equation. CJ was injured. BI comes back the same. That team is just going to look almost the exact same besides losing Jackson Hayes and free agency to the Lakers. Trey Murphy yesterday gets reported that he tears his meniscus. I mean,
it's a big blow.
It's a big blow, but
replaceable.
But replaceable, yeah. I mean, Zion coming back is definitely just gonna put them over the top again. If he can stay healthy the whole season, I mean, there's no reason he can't win the MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably say he wins comeback player of the. I don't know if the NBA gives that an award.
No.
I know they used to when they did the NBA awards for a couple of years, but if there was a comeback player of the year award, I mean, he'd probably win it if he stays healthy for a full season.
I don't know. There's definitely gonna be a few candidates for that.
I mean, yeah. Another candidate for it could honestly be Miles Bridges. I mean, the thing, obviously, all the off the court issues. We're not gonna get into that, but
stacked up beyond.
Yeah, it's over now. He's serving his suspension. Has 10
to 13 games, something like
10
that.
to 13 games left because he sat out like the last 20 of the season. And he's just him and LaMelo complement each other really well.
Yeah.
And he's a big part for the Hornets team.
You kind of got the finesse and the facilitating of LaMelo, and then the more aggressive attacking vertical threat that is Miles.
Yeah, and he's one of the most athletically gifted players in the league.
Yes.
Like him and Zion are up there when it comes to
jumping. About 6'7".
Yeah, 6'7", 6'8".
About 250 and just jump out the gym.
And the thing with Miles is he's such a good shooter that you have to respect him. Like he will step up and hit that shot. And LaMelo, he's also coming off a third ankle injury. Is it second or third?
Third. Because he injured it.
And then came back, and then so third ankle injury, and
gives us like replays of Curry in our heads.
Yeah, because Curry comes into the league in 2009, obviously iffy anyways because he was too small, whatever. And there's just a lot of doubts about him, and then he just adds the doubt by and keep re-injuring the ankle over and over again until finally that third or fourth season he has that breakthrough. LaMelo is now in his third season, and
no,
he drafted in 2020.
Oh yeah, the fourth season.
No.
2021, 21, 22,
third season,
22, 23. So yeah, this would be his fourth 24
season.
Yeah. So he comes in his fourth season, basically at Curry, and because has anybody ever seen LaMelo even wear ankle braces?
No, I haven't.
Maybe I'm not paying that close attention, but as far as I've seen, I've never seen him come back with an ankle brace on.
I think he's relying on
probably just tape and.
I wouldn't tape, but I think he's relying on since he wears his own signature shoe.
Yeah, relying on himself
on those ankle protections because they're so high and they're beefy around the edges to protect your ankles.
But that's the thing people don't understand. High tops are meant for that, but if you ain't got a protection around your ankle, then you can roll at any point.
Yeah.
And
Curry, having high tops doesn't guarantee anything.
No, Curry has those industrial ankle braces, thick, double. He wears 2 socks, tapes it. He is making.
Doesn't separate the shin.
Yeah, he makes sure that there is no chance that he's going to re-injure that thing. Because if he does, his career could end. He has just injured that ankle so many times, and I think LaMelo is well known enough in the league to where he can reach out and be like, hey, or he can just reach out to his trainers and just be like, hey, what can we do to get me to that point to where I don't have to worry about it anymore?
Yeah.
Because this could affect his career long term.
It could affect daily life.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, look at his brother. Lonzo is another player that I'm just so heartbroken over that he's not playing right now. I mean, whether you want to admit it or not, everybody grew up watching the Ball brothers. Everybody watched them play at Chino Hills. Everybody did Lonzo's jump shot and
LaMelo's half court point.
Everybody was doing it. Whether you want to admit it or not, you were doing it.
That's my college point of our lives.
Yeah, I mean, social media basketball revolved around the Ball brothers for so long, and obviously LiAngelo falls off, but we're not gonna get into that. But Lonzo is it's so heartbreaking to see him just come from Chino Hills, go to UCLA, have a great year at UCLA, and then come into the league and be considered a bust. And his jump shot wasn't that great, so he spent 2 years on the Lakers, right? 2 or 3.
2.
So he spent his rookie contract, his 2 years on the Lakers. He got traded in his third year to
New
Orleans for AD, and part of that giant trade that included Julius Randle,
BI,
and Josh Hart and him, which
So much young.
it'd be so crazy to imagine if LeBron still had that core of them right now.
That's a starting 1 through 4. Lonzo, Hart, BI, and Randall.
And then you add LeBron in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Like that team could win that's so crazy to me that happened. Like imagine if they would have let that team develop, because obviously LeBron traded for AD and then next year they win.
Got the ring.
But they haven't done much after that. They made it to the Western Conference.
But I think if they keep that core, they could have multiple right now, maybe. Because BI is a future All NBA player.
Do you think BI would have developed into the same player?
I do, just because because he was already showing signs of it. I mean, he was showing signs because when he was in LA, he was more of an athletic like KD than he was shooting. But now he's developed a good jump shot, and I think no matter what, that ends up developing. I mean, you have one of the greatest players of all time with LeBron, he's gonna help develop you. But anyways, Lonzo goes to New Orleans, completely has a rough first year in New Orleans. That next year completely rebuilds himself, and his whole jump shot changes. Like the trainers in New Orleans changed his jump shot to where it became consistent. He became a over 40% shooter where it had to be respected. And he talked about how tough that was, but it was worth it. And then he has those good. He spent 2 years in New Orleans.
2 years. Because he signed. He
got to play with Zion.
Yes, he signed with the Bulls in 2021.
I mean, he got a good contract based off how much he was able to sacrifice and give up, and then
how much of a good team guy he was.
Because he did get injured in New Orleans once. It was a wrist. It wasn't even related to his knee injury. And he comes to Chicago. The year they bring in DeMar, Alex Caruso, Zach LaVine, Derrick Jones Jr. And honestly, I was super excited to see that team perform. And then Lonzo goes down, and then because he played, I mean, they were the number 1 seed when he played. I mean, it was amazing to see what the Bulls were doing. Chicago basketball looked like it was coming back. So Lonzo goes down, and then they basically they fight their way into the 8th seed, get gentlemen swept by the Bucks, and then the next year he tries to come back, re-injures his knee, and it's just sad to see him and LaMelo go through this.
Yeah.
And you can talk about the Stephen A. Smith thing where they're kind of beefing right now. So
I wouldn't even say beefing. He's just saying, I like you, but get better sources.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just sad to see the media slander him after all he's done to prove himself.
Yeah, but it's also reassuring when you got guys that like Paul George on his podcast said Lonzo's one of those talented players in the league at 6'6" point guard that can do everything.
Yeah. His defense is so good. If he doesn't get hurt, I believe that he could win Defensive Player of the Year eventually.
Oh yeah.
Him and Lou Dort are very underrated on-ball defenders.
Yeah.
And even off-ball, Lonzo gets a lot of deflections. That's how he gets most of his steals, is just tipping passes and then on fast breaks.
Lou is obviously the big muscle, kind of like muscle hamster almost, but Lonzo is so quick-witted and agile, cut you off at any angle, redirect you. You're going back the other way than where you wanted to go. He's making you switch hands over and over and over again. Like you said,
he can guard you 94 feet.
Yeah, tips and deflections.
And obviously the Bulls franchise is starting to suffer more the more Lonzo is out. But I think a lot of people don't pay attention to his mental health part of it. I'm sure it's deteriorating to him to think about is my career eventually over? But he said himself he's coming back. Whether it be it's not going to be this year, I don't think, because they already announced he's not going to come back. But I do think in the 24-25 season we could see Alonzo return. Guys that are supporting him like PG, PG has dealt with injuries himself. I mean, he's injured right. I mean, he's not injured right now, but this past season, towards the end, he was injured. And him and Kawhi, this is like we've all said it, make or break.
They're both coming back off injuries. You got Russ.
Like they have all the tools.
They have pieces.
They have the tools to win it all this year.
Yeah.
And it's just all about them staying healthy. And I think they focus too much on worrying about their own health. And Jerry West did the same thing on Paul George's podcast. He said, y'all worry too much about load management. Y'all are the faces of load management. And the Clippers last year suffered off their load management because they would go on a winning streak, have to sit out. Go on a winning streak, have to sit out. And then they lose 4 or 5 games here and there, and the West is too tight to where you can risk that.
Yeah.
I mean, the West is as tight as it's been in a long time. You lose one game, you could drop from the 4th seed to the 7th seed.
Yeah.
But PG and Kawhi, this is obviously we're not the GM of the Clippers. We're not Steve. We're not the owner. We're not Steve Ballmer. But just as a fan standpoint and just a basketball standpoint, as a fan, you have to just think if they don't do it this year, then that's it.
It's got to something will have to break and give way, and I think that piece would be.
I think you build around Paul George.
Paul George, I think, is the easier piece to build around
because I don't know. It's just I think people would rather play with Paul George than Kawhi Leonard. I think you can get more.
He's easier to play with.
I think it's easier to build around Paul George because he does everything. Him and Kawhi are almost the exact same player, except PG's a better 3-point shooter, and because they're both really good 3-and-D players. And I was super excited when Paul George got traded to the Clippers. I wasn't excited obviously because it blew up the Thunder, but I was excited for his future just because I've always been a fan of him, and he's never made it past the Western Conference, Eastern Conference Finals, and it's just we want to see him win because it means more to his legacy to win a ring than it does Kawhi's.
Right.
Yeah.
And like seeing when you've grown up watching basketball your whole life and seeing where guys come from to where they are now, knowing that
he's had such a tough path.
Yeah, that one missing piece to just validate it all. Some guys can go through the league, be 10, 15-year vet, not win a thing, and say, I gave it my all.
Almost like Vince.
Right. I gave it my all. I'm at peace with myself. My career is over, whatever.
Yeah.
But some of those guys, it just eats away at them that they just didn't get the one thing they wanted.
Exactly. And
Charles, yeah.
I mean, at least he has an MVP, though.
Yeah.
He made it to the finals.
Yeah.
PG doesn't have either one of those. PG has no accolades besides most improved player.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying in the NBA wise, like PG has nothing to show for it. I mean, it's sad to say, but he doesn't. And he was top 3 in MVP voting, and Defensive Player of the Year voting his last year with the Thunder. And I thought after that it was just gonna continue to grow from there for him, and it's done the opposite because he just can't stay healthy. And there's just so many guys that just have all the tools and pieces and everything, but it's all about their health.
Yeah.
And Porzingis, coming to the Celtics, that's a big thing for them. But he's also been injury prone in the later part of his career.
Yeah.
He still puts up 25. He's gonna. It's another tall guy for the Celtics because the only big guys we have are Rob Williams, Al Horford, and unfortunately,
that guy is known for. I ain't gotta say it. How many minutes you play tonight? If you got a guy that's that not confident in himself that I ain't playing at all. Why would you want him on your team?
I got the privilege for a Christmas present. I got Celtics and Thunder tickets, so I went to watch my favorite team play. And Luke Cornett just looks like a baby giraffe. And I don't know why, but for some reason he just reminds me of the chocolate.
It's like he plays in quicksand.
It's slow. It's awkward. It's sticky, and he looks like he shouldn't belong.
That's kind of how we thought. I mean, when we look at Jokic when we first coming up.
But Jokic is built to play like that.
He
know. Still plays. Luke Cornett is a tall, slim player. He is known for one thing that Cornett can test. And if he didn't do that, he honestly may not even have a roster spot. But the Celtics have a lot to look forward to this year. Kristaps coming in, his numbers are probably going to drop to probably around 15 to 18 points a game, maybe 18 to 20. I don't think it's going to drop to 15.
Which is, it shouldn't matter because he's offering elite rim protection too.
Yeah, and then
one player I'm excited about that I've always loved and I'm ready to get for him to get more recognition, more minutes. Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah, I do forget that he is still there, but
now that Smart's not.
Yeah, he's definitely going to move into that because him and Malcolm can definitely switch out the 1 and 2 off the bench. And Peyton has showed promise in the league and potential. It's just the Celtics have had so much depth over the years that he just hasn't.
Especially at his spot.
Yeah, he just hasn't had that moment to break out. But he's shown signs of that he can be he wanted to be traded because he knows he can get minutes in this league.
Yeah,
he can get a bucket for his size. Like, how tall is he? Like,
I'd say
6 foot.
6 foot.
Yeah, 6'1", somewhere in that area.
For his size,
he's definitely on the smaller. He's definitely like point guard size, but smaller size for the league.
He's old-fashioned point guard size. But he's one of those players you can take out there and he'll give you 20.
Yeah,
with ease.
And Kristaps is also going to help bring pressure off Jason and Jalen. Because you have to respect. You can't play off Kristaps.
No. He's too good of a shooter to do that.
Exactly. He'll pull from 32 feet and hit it in your face. It doesn't even matter if you contest or not because he's so tall.
He shoots over every contest.
And he shoots above his head. It doesn't matter. And he can also hit big shots. So it's just going to be a whole this could be a new Celtics big three. And I hope it works out for him because I love Kristaps and I've always wanted to see him succeed. So I just hope it works out for him.
Me too.
But, we talked about Miles having the off-court issues and, trying to figure out how to come back and make a name for himself in the league. Ja Morant is 30 games, right? 30-game suspension. So what do y'all think how he comes back into it and how the Memphis Grizzlies kind of figure it out?
I think Ja has started to take more ownership for the stuff he was doing and involved with.
And his dad's also helped him with that.
His dad's helped him out with that. I think Derrick Rose being signed to the Memphis Grizzlies along with Marcus Smart having that big-time veteran leadership to teach him, to help show him the way to do it, the right way to do it, to be a pro, a pro's pro, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And guys like Steven Adams have been really pushing into him, like telling him to straighten up and to change his ways, or else he's gonna throw it all away.
Steve is just so respected in this league. No, he hasn't had the accolades to, have that respect, but he's
the definition
of a man's man. He's a really respectful guy in the league, and he earns your respect by being respectful. And I think, even though he's only I think he's 29. I don't think he's cracked 30 yet.
Yeah, he hasn't cracked 30.
So he's probably Ja's
22, 23.
Yeah, so even though he's not much older than Ja, I think Ja will respect him enough to listen and just figure out how to live the life of an NBA player and a kid at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the hardest part of coming in the league at such a young age with all the money and the fame is just figuring out how to deal with it all and also keeping the role model spectrum.
Yeah. I'm so glad he has Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose.
He's all ball.
Grew up in Chicago. Chicago's not, let's be honest, it's not the best town to grow up in. Grew up there, went to high school there.
Went to college in Memphis.
Got drafted to his hometown team. And from the jump, he was all serious, all business.
You never see D Rose even crack a smile on the court. He is so, it's just all business to him.
The only time I've seen him smile was
after he had that 50-point game and
not that, and whenever he went back to Chicago.
Oh yeah.
So after that 50, he started crying.
He didn't even smile when he got the MVP award.
No.
He was just okay.
Yeah.
On to the next.
He reminds me of he has a Kobe mindset and mentality, and on the court a Kawhi level emotion.
Yeah.
That's prime D Rose. Like even whenever he hit the game winner.
Oh yeah, against Cleveland.
Cleveland, he just started walking
Stared.
off the
And
court.
it became a meme of him just straight facing the crowd. Like you hit a game winner in your hometown, your home court, and it just
whatever.
He's like, job's not finished.
Exactly. He has that mentality, and Ja needs to. Like, he can have fun, obviously, off the court, but he just needs to be able to balance it and just not. He can do it privately.
Yeah.
And just not.
It's not even having fun. It's
just the smart way of having fun. Yeah. And, the NBA is all about image because at the end of the day, they can get rid of you and they're not going to lose any sleep over it.
They try. I mean, there's a conspiracy of, the Jordan thing with the suspension.
Like, it wouldn't even be a conspiracy they did that to Ja because everybody would know why.
Right.
And if he messes up again, that 30-game suspension probably goes to 50. I bet that 30-game suspension either goes to 50 or the whole season because this is not. It's not even the first, second, or third time an incident has occurred. It's almost at 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And like the first big time it happened, he said he went to therapy.
It was like a 8-day thing that he was away from the team, and
that he said he got better. He's gonna be better. He's never responsible. Turns around and does something even worse.
He's just. It's just not. There's no IQ outside of it when it comes to it.
And it's not like even his. We've all seen the video.
Yeah.
His friend, like
turned the.
He was like, they're vibing. Then he points the camera at Ja. Ja does something stupid, and his friend's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, it turns the camera away from it. It's just like they said it was the people around him, but it seems the people around him are trying to help him out, and he's
doing it to himself.
He's not learning.
Like you can't do that whenever you have that high of a social status.
It's just so many kids are looking up to you, and you don't want that to be the image they see you as.
Well, it's like Michael Wilbon on ESPN, older black-headed guy. He said on a broadcast right after that happened, he got suspended. He said he would never let his son, who's I think just a few years younger than us, would never let his son wear Ja's shoes.
I'm not going to get into the Kyrie discussion at all, but it comes to a point to where Ja has to have that same kind of discipline and punishment as Kyrie. Like I said, I'm not going to get into it at all because that's not what we're here to talk about. But how does Nike sign him and then they drop Kyrie and then Ja turns around and does all this and just Nike doesn't do anything about it? They actually released 3 more shoes after the thing. It's almost like it was a publicity stunt to get Ja Morant's name out there.
Yeah. And he didn't lose his sponsors.
He didn't lose anything.
In fact, he probably, besides the suspension, he's probably making more money off of it because his name's just getting out there more.
Yeah, it's something has to change in his mindset to where I have to grow up. I'm 23 years old. I
have life-changing money.
Exactly. Like I'm really throwing my career away.
Like it reminds me of a lot of the Mikey Williams thing. Except Mikey hasn't even started his career yet.
And they still don't know how he's going to turn out. His court date actually got changed to October 10th. So you hate to see it. You hate to see like people you grew up watching and people that you just followed on social media.
That you've been rooting for.
You hate to see their career just go down by a stupid mistake. And I'm happy that Miles Bridges was able to work his thing out and get back into the league. 10 games left, and I hope Ja can turn it around because when everybody retires, he's gonna be a face of the league.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be one of the like best players in his position by the time his career is over.
No question. He already is.
And it's just it has to change. And there's so many other players that are coming off, more injury type things this year. I mean, Julius Randle, ankle sprain that he just can't beat, but he's had about 6 months now to recover in the off season, so he should be good coming back next year.
Guys like Chris Middleton, who fought injury all last year but played, tried to gut it out, just wasn't the typical Robin to Batman to Giannis that we saw back in 2021 when they won the finals.
And then Giannis gets hurt, comes back for Game 5, but it doesn't matter because Jimmy just
was on another level.
Yeah, it didn't matter if Giannis came back or not. It was over. And then that same series, Tyler Hero goes down with a broken wrist. Past 6th man of the year, 18 to 22 points off the bench and starting.
Yeah.
He's just a big piece for Miami, but it almost didn't affect them because they still made the run to the finals.
Yeah.
And I mean, do y'all think he should have played in that game 5, or was it better for him to sit out?
I think
I think Eric
made the right choice because sometimes throwing a guy out there that hasn't been in that surge of energy that the team is in can kind of throw it off. Like that was the thing. Like when LeBron was injured and the Lakers were winning all those games, was like, well, what if LeBron messes it up because he's joining? But they just kept winning. And sometimes that just depends on the player in a certain situation. But I think it was the right choice to not play Tyler.
Yeah, because now he has just like Julius Randle, he has the 6 months to recover, rehab, and just get back to his normal self. And if he ends up getting traded, he's gonna be successful no matter where he goes.
Oh yes.
Like he is gonna be a solidified shooting guard in this league for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
And no matter if he's on Miami or not, I'm always gonna be a big fan of him.
To add on to that Eric Spoelstra thing, I also want to point out it's not the fact that put him in to like a regular playoff game.
It's the NBA Finals.
It's the finals. He's young.
It's an elimination game.
And they lost, and he has this sense of we lost the finals, and I couldn't do anything about it.
Now he has that
vendetta.
Yeah, that fight to come back like Giannis does. But a player that I'm super excited. 2 players I'm super excited to see come back. I know you're excited to see one of them. You're excited to see Cade come back.
Oh, yes.
I think everybody is because we haven't got to see him play out to his full potential.
No. And last year he played only 16 games, averaging just under 20 points. Shows the flashes of playmaking and rebounding. Just hasn't had the chance to put his foot in the ground and push off yet. And who knows how much further along the Pistons would be in their process if he played 65 games last year.
Yeah, because I mean, who even knows if they get that top 5 pick?
Right.
They don't even have the chance to get a star. So it's just Cade has the potential to come in and make the difference in the world for the Pistons.
Oh yeah.
And I've watched Cade since he was at Oklahoma State, and it's just been so exciting to see him come into the league. But like you said, we haven't seen him even put his foot in the door yet.
No.
And he has all potential in the world to be a future MVP in this league. And the same with Chet. I mean, obviously Cade's got to play at least NBA basketball. We haven't even seen Chet step on an actual NBA court yet.
No.
And Thunder were successful last year in their rebuild, and
I think this was SGA's breakout year.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they were actually at one point 1 win away from being a 5th seed, and then they lose that game and drop. I mean, that's just how tight the West was.
They were 1 game away from, making it to the actual playoffs, and I think Lou Dort, one of the most underrated,
premier defenders.
Yes.
Yes, and then now you have Chet. It's gonna be so good. Like, SGA is gonna be so great, and I'm so glad I got that jersey whenever I did, because he's gonna be one of the best we've ever seen.
And it's just gonna be like, it's almost like Thunder basketball is making a return. It's just been so long since the Thunder have been competitive
and relevant.
And SGA has put him back on the map. And with Chet coming back, it's just only going to help that.
The new rookies, and like maybe the new foreign guy they got from Spain. Who knows what that can add?
Oh yeah, I can't pronounce his name, so I don't want to butcher it. But he was a EuroLeague MVP.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, and Finals MVP this past year. And
so who knows what benefits that can bring?
Kason, he's going to be a great backup, and Trey Mann had a breakout year in the summer league, and both J Dub and J Will are going to help out so much. And with Chet, adding the muscle to his game, it's just going to be exciting to see what he can do.
I really think J Will is going to have a good year because he was so raw as a 2nd round pick coming out.
Yeah.
But being exposed to that much action and starting as many games as he did was really good for him to get his feet wet, learn, develop, and then having a good summer league. I think he'll have a really good year.
I think J Dub is gonna he got 2nd in MVP voting.
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year voting. That's what I meant. And I mean, yeah, Paolo did have a good rookie year. I mean, 20 points, how many rebounds? You can't beat that.
No.
But a lot of people overlooked the rookies like J-Dub and Walker Kessler, for example. Like we got to go watch that Jazz game with Walker Kessler and J-Dub both. J-Dub, he put someone on a poster, and Walker Kessler had.
He's just a phenomenal defender.
He had like 5 or 6 blocks.
Yeah, it's hard to score on a guy like that that's able to move that well at that size. And Chet, obviously Walker's got the more muscle than Chet, and I think they're about the same height. They're both 7'1". But Chet just has the defensive presence that it doesn't even matter how good he plays offensively, that he can just defend so well.
Can wreck a game defensively.
Just like Wemby, having that reach and he's athletic, and it's just going to be hard to score with. I mean, he set the summer league record for blocks with 7 blocks in a game. And it's just going to be so fun to watch him and Wemby battle it out for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And then battle in the future, because Wemby versus Chet could be the future of this league. I mean,
they play this year for an actual tournament game into the tournament.
And it's just, Thunder and Spurs have been such a big rivalry for
a number of years.
Since 2011.
Since almost basically since the Thunder came.
Exactly. Here. I mean, and Texas Oklahoma is just a big rivalry anyway. Yeah. So it just adds to the flame, adds fuel to the flame. And Chet versus Wemby, I think, just obviously the Spurs aren't as talented as the teams of Thunder, but they're on their way up.
Yeah.
But it can definitely get them back on the map. And, everybody's saying, like, Wemby's not going to change that much for them. But being a number 1 pick, you almost have the pressure to come in and change the team.
Yeah.
Especially with he has an 8-foot wingspan. He's like 7'5", something like that.
Yeah, 7'5", 7'4" in that area.
Plus, you got players, bunch of young players who are developing as well, like Jeremy Sochan,
Keldon Johnson,
Devin Vassell.
It's just going to be, and they have the opportunity to make moves because they actually, they said that no teams offered Austin Reeves, but I heard rumors that the Spurs actually were going to offer him a contract because they had the money. So if they can they'll have all the cap space in the world next year, and they could bring in whoever, and they can make the trades with their young guys to bring in some, star level talent. And they were actually in talks to trade for Chris Paul, and him and Wemby would have complemented each other perfectly.
Yeah.
And up until Kawhi getting injured in 2017, is that what it was? Or
no, it was 16.
2016.
Yeah.
The Thunder and Spurs were rivals up to that point until Kawhi left. They're still rivals, but the energy at those games was just insane.
Especially after Chris Paul left the Thunder, and both teams
they dwindled.
Absolutely terrible.
20 games apiece in a season winning.
Yeah.
And, now, obviously the Thunder are definitely a better team, but Wemby and Chet are going to have some battles that are just going to be fun to watch. Going back and forth because they're both great defenders, both talented offensively. It's just going to be something special to watch.
Yeah. 2
generational talents. It's like you look back at like Shaq and David Robinson, like those were games that people wanted to watch, or Shaq and Hakeem battling, and 2 centers.
Strength on strength.
Now it's just height on height.
Yeah.
And talent on talent. Who can
outskill the other one?
Exactly.
I'm so ready to see both of them, and I'm not buying a ticket tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm just ready to see it in action, whether it's on TV or at the game. But it's going to be surreal to see them, see Wemby in person, being that tall, and
you're just going to be in the stands, already elevated, and you're still going to be looking up.
Yeah, and then it's going to be. But what do y'all think about how the NBA is going? Do you think Chet and Wemby's build wise is going to be the future of the NBA in the next years?
It's definitely got potential. Yeah. There's a lot of point guards now in the league that are taller, bigger.
Yeah, LaMelo,
Cade.
Shea's technically a 1 for us, and even if you want to say Josh is
6'8" as a point guard.
Shea's 6'6". So.
Yeah. Guys like
Kevin Durant basically laid the groundwork for players like this. Came in the league at 6'9". That wasn't a crazy thing.
Super wiry.
But then grows to 7 foot, and then moves like a guard, and plays like a guard. And then, Kristaps didn't really. He was drafted as a unicorn, but it didn't.
He wasn't really the first unicorn.
but it didn't like pan out. Like he's not one of the greats in the league.
No.
But I think Chet and Wemby can be that stepping stone to be the greats that are that tall. And I think eventually, like, 'cause traditional point guard are basically out the window.
Yeah.
Like, there's only a few in the league right now that
in
are
5 years, they're probably not going to be here anymore.
Because like even Jaw's not a traditional point guard because Jaw can jump out the gym.
So you could say 5 to 10 years that basically traditional point guards are going to be non-existent.
Yeah.
And every player in the lineup you could have, because NBA is more basketball in general is positionless now.
It's becoming. It's almost like the only positions that even exist is if you're a wing.
Yeah, because you got to shoot.
Yeah. Can you be 3-and-D and can you be athletic?
And like I just think that the future of the NBA is just so bright.
Yeah.
Like
this might be the golden era of.
Imagine 20 years ago telling Shaq in '96 when he was drafted, and 30 years there's going to be 7-footers across the board playing guard through center. He wouldn't believe it. Nobody would.
No.
It would be a crazy thing to say, but now it's a common reality. It's almost crazy that there's not a 7-footer shooting threes.
Yeah.
It's the normality that the NBA has become, and just basketball in general. I seen a 6th grader the other day on Instagram that was dunking. He's 6'8". He's 12. It's crazy.
We're talking about traditional point guards. I'm trying to think how many traditional centers are left. Like I can't think of
technically.
Like if you want to call,
so I'd say traditional center would be somebody who just straight post up and defensive work. If that's what you're basing it off of,
that's about it.
Yeah, but he's starting to develop a jump shot too.
So I mean,
he has to.
Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, Mitchell. But his obviously off season, any NBA player can knock down threes.
So you got like
I'd say Mitchell,
Gobert.
Yeah, but Rudy's shooting threes now in FIBA.
He's trying,
and he's hit a couple. So
and he like
there. Okay, I would say Kevon Looney, like in college, he was a 3-and-D player,
shooting step backs and stuff.
So
you ever seen that stuff?
It's crazy how good he was at in college.
It was unreal.
He was like Kevin Durant
in
college, but I mean, you look at like Jonas Valanciunas, he can
now
step out.
Yeah,
he can step out. And Steven Adams is probably one of the last traditional centers that we have in the
guys
NBA.
Like Steven Adams, Capella, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean Jared Allen,
yeah.
Even Evan Mobley,
DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, but he's
out of his career.
But I mean, after
Mason
that,
Plumlee.
No, but he's not a traditional center because he can handle the ball very well.
It's weird,
and he can pass. So after that, it's really
Robert.
Kai Jones is probably there, but he's athletic. He doesn't really shoot the ball. Though.
Mark Williams.
Yeah, Mark Williams. So it's honestly
Jalen Duren.
I'm saying in 5 years, the NBA is probably just going to be across the board, tall, skinny, athletic players who can shoot the ball.
Yeah.
That brings up a question: how long until Curry's record is broken?
The 3-point record, I think it's going to be a while.
I don't think anybody's ever going to crack it.
It may get cracked, but the thing is these guys are just. We haven't seen a crazy good shooter like Steph in.
It's not so much the percentage; it's the volume that he makes.
How many he shoots.
Yeah.
Like, let's see. Like even like this year's draft, like Grady Dick was probably one of the best shooters drafted, and he's not even going to get close.
No.
But you have to be, because Steph was the guy on his team for 5 years before they started contending, so he was getting all the shots.
I have a question. If Ray Allen was put in the league, Ray Allen was drafted today, and let's say put him on
like the Hornets.
Yeah, just some team where he could have the ball. Do you think there'd be a chance of Ray Allen today with today's spacing and stuff?
If you threw Ray on the Pistons, honestly, any team, because when Ray came into the league, he wasn't a spot-up shooter. He was off the dribble, making plays, dunking a lot.
Yeah.
And the volume wasn't even close to his steps. And he held the record for however many years, and it just now recently got broken in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think if you draft Ray Allen, if you put Ray Allen and Steph in the same draft, or if you put Steph in Ray Allen's draft as like that player, and you put Ray Allen and Steph, I think it goes the same way, that Ray Allen would break the record if he was drafted in this era.
I do too.
Because that guy had a burner. I mean, he had the 3-point record in the finals for the longest time. Like, one of the purest jumpers I've ever seen.
Second shot.
one of my favorite players of all time. It's just
Jesus Shuttlesworth.
exactly one of my favorite movies of all time. But so I really do think that Wemby and Chet could just be trendsetters and be the future of this NBA.
No question.
And the Rookie of the Year battle this year is going to be so fun to watch because nobody's talking about Chet.
Yeah.
Oh, Wemby's too.
And I can't wait to see them battle because we haven't even seen Chet step on be in a real NBA game.
I can't wait for I'm gonna be there the first home game against Denver. I can't wait for the ovation that he gets when he gets his name called to come into the game.
I can't wait for I just can't wait to watch it happen and watch him just live up to the potential and finally get to play and just get past that first game and get the breath of fresh air.
I can't wait when he scores his first bucket.
The Paycom's gonna erupt.
Absolutely.
Like it's
gonna be crazy atmosphere anyway because it's the first game of a really promising year with a lot of potential, dark horse mentality.
It's gonna I bet you they sell out multiple games this year.
I would not be surprised.
That's fine. Tomorrow.
Yeah, but we're gonna introduce a new segment. What's the name you came up with?
Spicy Standpoints.
Spicy Standpoints.
I like it.
If anybody has a better name, let us know. But as of right now, Spicy Standpoints is gonna be viewers' hot takes, and if you have any, let us know, and we will talk about them eventually on an episode. We just pick the best ones that we can debate. So you can go ahead and take it. Yep, go for it.
All right, so this week's Spicy Standpoint is one of our good friends. His name is Micah. He said Kevin Durant is higher all time than Stephen Curry.
Now, for me, I'm just going to go ahead and say I disagree because you can say a lot of people. The main debate isn't honestly who's better all time. It's honestly who needed who.
Yeah.
Because Steph already had a ring. He already had his 2 MVPs. Like he didn't. One unanimous. The only unanimous should have been Chet. I'm not getting that. So Steph already had solidified himself as one of the best players in the league and one of the best point guards. I mean, he was on his way already being the best shooter of all time. So really, Kevin Durant had that one finals trip, has the MVP, has I think is he the most scoring titles of all time?
Kevin Durant?
Yeah.
I think it's Jordan.
Okay, but I'm saying like recent era.
Oh yeah.
Like from 2010 to now, I'm saying I think Kevin Durant has like 4.
Yeah.
And because actually in the times he won his, the only person to beat him once was Melo.
Yes. Melo won it in
like 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 4. So, KD obviously has the accolades now, like MVP, 2-time champ, 2-time Finals MVP. But realistically speaking, without the thought of a Thunder fan or a LeBron fan or outside bias, if KD never leaves the Thunder, do they win a ring? Does he get a ring?
That's a tough one because
I don't know.
You have to think about how Russ had to take the reins after and develop into what we knew as MVP Russ, one of the greatest.
Okay, but he had already shown signs of that because he had already was getting triple doubles way before he was averaging 1.
Yeah, but there was no way with Kevin Durant that he was going to average it.
Well, no, I'm not saying that.
And be the leader.
But I'm saying is, does that duo figure it out? Because after that year, we lost a lot of depth.
Yeah.
But this is how I also look at it. We traded for Victor Oladipo before Kevin Durant decided to leave. So if Kevin Durant, Victor Oladipo, Russ, we traded Serge. We have Steven still. Power forward probably Jeremy Grant probably takes that spot. That's a good lineup.
Yeah.
I mean, Victor was coming up in the league at that point. So
just entering his prime.
With that roster, do the Thunder make it? I think they could make it back to the finals of next year. Winning it, I don't know. But do they have a chance?
They absolutely have a chance. There's nobody is saying no way in hell they don't have a chance. They absolutely had a chance.
And just, but the thing with the Warriors is it was hard to knock them down in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, especially at home. But the Thunder won 2 games at home or won 2 games on the road against them. and I'm pretty sure that was their first like road losses in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And Game 6, Clay was just a masterclass shooting performance in that Game 6. If he doesn't pop off like that, the series is over.
Yeah.
But on the Thunder's home court, he does that, and it was hard to watch as a Thunder fan. But then Steph turns around. They lose in the finals, obviously. 3-1 lead to Braun. KD comes the next year, wins 2 finals MVP. Nobody doubted them winning those finals. Everybody knew they were going to win. As long as KD was on the team, they were going to win. So if you take KD off those teams, who has the better chance of winning a ring? The Thunder or the Warriors?
It's probably still the Warriors.
Exactly. So, like I said, Steph already had his ring. KD hadn't even been to the finals since 2012. So I think KD needed Steph to win. Not even needed Steph, just needed the Warriors to win.
I can agree.
Because, you make a good
look
point.
at it, you got Curry looking like he's going into the generational talent that we know of him as today. And then Clay, you obviously said Klay Thompson, proving to be the
Draymond
second guy. Draymond, who was
putting up triple doubles as well,
and probably one of the best defensive players in the entire league at that point. And another thing you can point out is what KD did after 2019, after
they lose to the Raptors,
and Clay has a torn ACL, which we found out puts him out 2 years.
Well, no, he tore his ACL. Was en route to come back. Training camp, tears his Achilles, and then he's out for another year.
Yeah, but I'm not saying loyalty makes you better, but he left that team, went to the Nets, got Kyrie over there too.
They don't make it.
They don't do anything that first year because KD's still out.
Yeah.
Gets James Harden, who's another Hall of Fame player, by the way.
They battle injuries. They don't make it.
They don't make it.
Then James leaves.
They
get Ben.
Then they get Ben Simmons.
Battles injuries and mental health.
Ben Simmons
doesn't pan out. Comeback year this year, just wait on it.
And then mid-season, or no, not even mid-season, before the season started, he said
requested a trade.
He said I want to go to the Suns and only the Suns because the Suns already been to the finals. They had Chris Paul,
CP,
Devin Booker, Campaign, DeAndre Ayton,
Josh Okogie. They had Deb.
And then they say no. Midway through the season, they send him to the Suns.
Well, what started it was Kyrie demanding the trade.
Yeah.
And then KD's like, okay, well, if he's leaving, so
I'm out.
So Kevin Durant leaves, goes to the Suns, and then obviously they don't make it out of the second round. Kyrie doesn't do anything with Dallas, but
we just need to point that out that he had all those
teams and all those good Thunder teams, but KD has just bad luck with teams being stricken with injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Curry stayed loyal to the team that drafted him, and they built around him through drafts, not him demanding to be traded, not him demanding players to be traded. Curry wasn't even, if you look at the differences, you can say he's better all times because of where he came from. He was a 9th pick, doubted throughout his whole career until he popped off in Madison Square Garden for 50. And then KD was a 2nd pick in the draft and was known to be great as soon as he was drafted. Basically Curry's career came from nothing almost.
He put Davis in college.
Exactly. And then it's just too much on Curry's side and too much against KD for me to say that Curry is better than him all the time.
Another thing, we talk about KD and his team's battling injury. Look at Curry's team.
They go through 2 years of just injury trauma and
nightmares.
Not to mention Curry's first years.
And going from NBA dynasty to worst team in the league, and then
I don't know of another team
fall off.
Is there just for injuries alone that went from the pinnacle to the dungeons and the lowest?
And it's hard to say, but you got probably the 11 Mavs.
Maybe, yeah.
Because they were great the next year, but I think they still made the playoffs. No, they missed.
No, they missed the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they missed. Well, Miami, LeBron leaves, Chris Bosh and D Wade get hurt, but they were still the 7th seed or 8th seed.
I think so.
But the Warriors fall off. Then they get Andrew Wiggins after all the trade drama with D'Lo and Kelly Oubre and everything like that. They get Wiggins, and everybody was like, "Nah, it's not going to be much," because he was considered a bust. Because it wasn't that he was considered a bust because he was a bad player. It's just he didn't pan out to the potential.
Yeah.
But he is really showing that potential now with the Warriors.
Probably
and,
one of the better two-way wings in the league.
Helps them turn it around. They go through the playoffs almost with ease.
They may not. There's a chance. It's maybe not that big a chance. Maybe there's a chance they don't win the finals without Andrew Wiggins.
I mean, he played great against Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
No offense to Jason Tatum, but Andrew Wiggins was making him look like he was a terrible player. I'm just saying. That's hearsay. There's no proving that actually is true.
I mean, he said it.
NBA players can say whatever they want. Braun said he broke his hand, showed up to the press conference in a brace, and then after that, we never seen that brace again. So,
I remember that.
Everybody was clowning Braun for that. But then they come back, they beat the Celtics in 6. Nobody expected them to end up back in the finals. Nobody expected them to even make it past the second round. If you said prior to the season starting the Warriors were going to win it all, they would have laughed at you.
Like, as a Celtics fan, it hurt for us to go so far. Beat the Nets, beat the Bucks. Two teams that had and the Heat.
Yeah.
3 teams that have all ended our seasons
prior
the seasons before, and to get 2 games within that trophy.
It was like a nightmare.
Between immortality.
Yeah.
But watching Curry in Game 6 at TD Garden was like
just watching him break the Celtics down.
It felt like it did not feel real. That's the greatest basketball by a single player I've ever seen play. Like it almost made me shed a tear. Just watching the pure skill, and it's like I can't even describe to you what it was like watching that as a Celtics fan. Watching it looked like if you had shown someone all that and they knew nothing about basketball, they would say that's the greatest player in the game of
8 minutes left. He hits a big 3. Ring me. Night. 8 minutes left in Game 6. They're only up like 8. He don't care. He knew it was over.
Yeah.
He knew that he was not missing from then on.
And then he gets the Finals MVP. The one thing that had always been a blemish in his career.
It was crazy to see the amount of, for him and Clay especially, the amount of emotion they showed after winning that.
Clay basically.
His career should have been over.
Well, I'm saying Clay basically went to 5 finals in a row because he was out for 2 years.
Yeah.
He never stepped on a court in those 2 years. Clay Thompson won 5 finals in a row.
You could tell just from Curry's expression.
This one meant the most.
This one was the one for him. He went out there. He's the reason they won.
Had their death lineup.
And the thing is, they're still competing.
Yeah.
They're still making a name. They're still proving that they're one of the best teams in the NBA. And with adding Chris Paul, there's a chance they go back.
Yeah.
And, so obviously I said my opinion before, but Steph's better all the time than Kevin Durant, in my opinion.
I agree.
There's just, and if you disagree, that's fine. You can tell us why, and, you can come on the show and talk about it. If anyone wants to come on the show and discuss something that you think that we said wrong or anything like that, go ahead. We'll take any suggestions.
I'll leave it at this. Watching Kevin Durant, I have never had a moment with him where I felt like I was watching the best basketball player in the world.
All right.
No, compared to Game 6 Curry.
I don't see. That's just hard for me to say because
it's a little bit out there.
I didn't know how to word it.
There's some big Kevin Durant games where he looked like nobody's touching him. He put 40. He was averaging close to 40 in the finals when he swept LeBron. So
watching Curry in that Game 6, and as a Celtics fan, it felt like the Grim Reaper was just taking the soul out of the entire city of Boston because it was in Boston. Him taking shots from Lucky's feet and turning around looking at the crowd.
And just tearing Marcus Smart down. But I think we all came to agreement. There's no way KD's touching Steph all the time.
Yeah.
Even if he ends up winning with the Suns, it doesn't matter because they're a super team.
Yeah.
They're meant to win it. If they don't win it, that's going to make his legacy look even worse.
It would be different if like Kevin Durant was on the Pistons right now.
Or even just had like it was on the Trailblazers with Dame.
Yeah.
But no. So sorry, Micah.
And
Yeah, sorry, Micah. It ain't happening.
all right. This is the last I'll speak on it. The team that Curry basically single-handedly beat in that finals, Katie got swept.
It's true. And they did have Kyrie.
It's true.
But sorry, Micah. It ain't work out for you. You got basically triple team. But we're just always improving on the podcast, looking for new things. So if you have any suggestions or anything like that, we're open to them. We're not going to discredit anybody. And if you'd like to come on the show and discuss some things, even if it's just one thing you want to say or one topic you want to talk about, we're open to it. So just let us know. And if you want to be featured in what's it called? Spicy
standpoint.
Want to be featured in Spicy Standpoints, let us know and we'll drop your takes. But
at the end of the day, your opinion is your opinion.
Exactly.
Nothing is personal.
And check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Castbox, and
follow us all on Instagram,
and check us out on TikTok too. But for the Foul Line, I'm Connor, Wyatt Olson. Catch y'all later. Thank you.